Alrighty, it is time for some more hobby nightmares. Hope you're all doing well. Things in your life are going swimmingly, I hope, and you're ready for some hobby nightmares. We had a little bit of a break on Friday because I'm going to be honest. In terms of like mental health stuff, I've got to be completely honest with you. Over the past several months, there have been trying times in the Northern household. Lots going on, and I think it. On Friday, it really did. Like, I finished work, and I'm sitting here at my computer, and I'm just rifling off some things, and I have to do some very, very stressful emails to colleagues and other people, just basically reading people the riot act, sort of a thing, you know what I mean? Haranguing people, making sure that everyone's going in the right direction. And I finished those emails, and I sat back, and my head started spinning. I have no idea why. My head just started spinning, and I was like, whoa, this is really not very nice. And I stepped away from the computer, went downstairs with my little girl, watched half of Howl's Moving Castle, and started spinning again. So I walked upstairs and immediately started hurling, chundering my little heart out, into the toilet. Not nice. I then did that for the next couple of hours. So, and then after that, I was spent. I had, a few bites of chicken. I went straight to sleep. And since then, I've been just recovering over the weekend. So I think that was my body just saying enough stress, like enough now. So, I'm gonna keep the upload schedule as it is. I'm not gonna change that because, you guys like hobby nightmares, and it's not so much of a big thing to do. It's quite an easy, it's an easy video series to do. I sit here and I read your hobby nightmares, so there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of 40k rants, I love working on those, and I like doing research for those. So I'd like to maybe do one of those a week. We'll see. I know I've got one planned for tomorrow, which I'm going to do because I'm quite happy about that. But like, it's been quite the trying time over the past few months. Hopefully, we're at the other end of that now. It's coming to an end probably Monday. So we're done basically with mad season, with silly season. Right now, education. Again, it's not one thing, by the way, guys. So don't be thinking that there's one issue. No. It's education's in the silly season. Private education. We've got dissertations to mark. Kids going to university who are panicking. Kids panicking about their A-levels and SATs. It all hits at the same time, basically. I've had loads of issues going on with family that I've been sorting out. School, things like that. And it was horrible. So, most of those problems finish on Monday. It's done. So, and I'm recording this on Sunday. So don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm on the other end of it. I crashed on Friday. It wasn't great, but I'm back to it now, and everything's fine. So, just because I thought I should be honest with you, open and honest, because this is a channel that is about mental health and, and wargaming for the main part, wargaming, and gaming in general. Hobby, the hobby, our hobbies. But it is also about mental health. So this is the teacher showing his work sort of a thing. I've used that phrase before. This is me saying, look, I'm being vulnerable. I'm telling you what's going on with me, right? This is how you do it. In a manly way. You're not doing it in a way that's, oh, woe is me. You're saying, listen, lads, this is what's been going on. This is why things have been a bit slow recently. That's why. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I have a few things to show off first, and those are from April, who we had on a little while ago, because she was supposed to attach some pictures of her models, and she didn't do so. So here we are with some pictures of her Wolf Lord next to a Fenrisian wolf, which is pretty cool, I have to say. Pretty cool models. I might leave them on for a bit. Whoops. There we go. Look at that. That's cool, huh? I'll leave that on for a sec. And let's jump into our first hobby nightmare. And it is from Merlin, who is going to talk to us about a time in Airsoft, which should be pretty cool. Anyway, he says, "Hi Northern, thank you for reading out my last email to you regarding my hobby distress, where people around me laughed at my list for not having the expected anti-vehicle weaponry in my game for 5th edition. I remember that one, about a week ago, yeah. I forgot to finish off that story in that, as I said, Rick, who is in that story, is one of my best friends, and for the rest of 5th edition, I played him almost every week. only ever winning one game against him right as 5th came to an end. I learned how to play that edition well by playing him, and I wouldn't change the experience even if I could, despite the first game's bad start. It was a couple of days after you posted that one video that I remembered I do have a true hobby nightmare I can share, involving Airsoft and my brother. I have a funnier story about T at the end if you want to read it as well, but I won't hold you up if you think I've taken up too much of your time by the end of the first story. This is a big email now that I've reviewed it. Yeah, the second one isn't really hobby related, it's more hobby adjacent, but I might read the second one if I feel like it a bit later. Oh, we'll see. Let's read this one first. Now, I'm not an airsoft enthusiast, and it's not really my hobby. I like it well enough that if someone were to invite me to an event, I would definitely go, but it's a hobby for many, which is why I'm happy to send it in. So, I arranged an airsoft day for myself and my friends and any work colleagues who wanted to go, which turned out to be almost all of them, including some of the women, for my 20th or 21st birthday. I can't remember which, it was a while ago. As you'd expect, my younger brother was also invited, because, why wouldn't he be? A bit of background on my brother. In short, he was an alcoholic and a bit of an addict of narcotics, though he mostly stuck just to the green. He took these mostly because he had Asperger's and, in his view, he couldn't interact with the world around him without them, or at least that is what he told me once. He claimed it helped him be a bit more sociable with people around him, but I know that's not true at all. He was generally fine before he started at 14 years old, a year younger than me, but thinking back on it, he was probably fine before because he was usually glued to my hip when in social situations and I could bring him into the conversations. Now that I'm much of a social, not that I'm much of a social butterfly myself, or it just helped to relax him as somebody he knew was there next to him. If anything, the drink and drugs made him into a bit of an a-hole. Or more of an a-hole, anyway. I'm wondering if being separated from you has, pushed him over there. I'm not saying that's your fault. This is his choice, you know what I mean? These are his choices, but I'm wondering whether he substituted one for another. The drinking started when he went to a different school than me, as his primary school grades and results were good, and he went to one of the local grammar schools, while mine were bad, and I went to one of the other secondary schools in the local area. I wasn't a bad student, I just didn't like the whole process of going to school, working my backside off, learning what they're teaching me, and then them having the gall to ask me to do homework or expect us to study when we got home. When home time was for relaxing and doing what you want to do. Dude, I'm right there with you. So I don't give homework to kids, in general. I don't. If I give a kid homework, it's generally, can you read this chapter? And it's like half an hour of work, and you do that in a week, right? It's not a lot. I always make that promise to them that if they work their backsides off with me in class when we're together, I will never intrude on their time relaxing away from lesson time. I will. No. That's your time. I need you to go and de-stress. There was this kid I used to teach nearby. I used to go to his house. And Spider-Man had just come out, right? Those new Spider-Man games. I'm not sure if it was Spider-Man 2 or I think it was just the first one. Anyway, his mum would only let him play it for an hour a day, and the rest of it was all homework. And then when he got taken out of school, I was the one teaching him. So I would teach him 2 or 3 hours a day. And in the end, after talking to him, this kid was miserable. He wasn't putting any effort in. So I went to his mum and I said, listen, can you try something for me? Can you just let him play Spider-Man all night tonight? She's like, what? He hasn't done anything to earn that. I said, I know, but we need to establish that trust. We need to give him a carrot first to know what the carrot tastes like. Right? And then tomorrow we say, well, did you like doing that last night after your dinner? Yeah, we can do it tonight as well if you work here. And if he doesn't work, that's when we take the carrot away. But you've got to let him know what the carrot is like first. And he played on it all night, had loads of fun. Next day, he was telling me all about it, and most of the lesson went really, really, really well. He was there for 2 or 3 hours, completely engaged, and his homework for that night was to write me a short little essay, listen, about 200 words, on if Spider-Man was in the medieval world, what kind of a character would he be, right? Try and pick out a character that we've learned about in our studies that would, do that. And he did it. he did it, and it was a really good mini essay. It was really good. And I sent that into school, and they said, yeah, that would be an A. That would be like a, like an 85 plus. That would be an A. So I took it back to him and said, look, you can do it. That's an A. You got an A grade from school, right? And we were off to the races at that point. They didn't really need me from that point, you know. I felt really bad because like I was still there for a couple of weeks because I'm getting my money's worth too. But god damn it, you know what I mean? Like, but like, you know, we got him ready for school. He went back and he was fine, and it was great. But this is what I mean. Like homework really shouldn't impress on a kid's time away from school. It really shouldn't. You know, it's just not the done thing. You know, it needs to go away, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, at least that's what I thought anyway, and as such, I was bad at doing tests. Side note, my mother always suspected I had some sort of learning disability as well, because I functioned. My parents never sent me to get assessed, focusing their efforts on my brother. I'm 35 now and I've gotten along in life pretty fine, so I don't really care enough to find out one way or the other. Now, with that context, on to the day of the Airsoft party. Everybody who went was collected by the bus, and we went on our way to the Airsoft site. My brother proceeds to drink a full bottle of Buckfast before we get to the site. For those who don't know, Buckfast is a tonic wine. The bus trip was only 45 minutes to an hour, and as such, when we got to the site and the instructions and marshals saw him, they refused to let him hold the guns or participate, and quite rightly so, yeah. I had booked the whole day, so he would basically have to sit around whilst everybody else had fun, and he only had himself to blame. I told him not to drink, saying this was going to happen, but I may as well have talked to a wall than talk to him. This was the first time my friends had met a family member of mine, so I was both really pissed and embarrassed by this. Anyway, I told him he could call our parents to come pick him up, but he decided to stay, and I went to play. There was nothing else to do, and I wasn't going to let him ruin my day. Quite right as well. Quite right. And here is where the nightmare comes in. Scenario 3 of the day comes around, and just before it finished, one of the marshals called me over to report back to the reception area as there had been an incident. He wouldn't tell me what had happened, but the radio the man had left myself and just everybody dude, please read over this. Okay, I'm going to read it out. I'm going to read it verbatim. But the radio the man had let myself and just about everybody around him know that my brother had tried to steal something from the bags of one of my friends, and he was caught on CCTV doing it. The marshal at the reception, just the changing room huts and a caravan they use as an office, told me what had happened and showed me the CCTV footage to prove it. To say I saw red would be accurate. Now, I am an extremely laid-back person by nature. My wife says it's one of my best and worst qualities, because she knows I will likely always stay cool-headed or be an even-handed voice of reason in a heated situation, but also my worst quality because she can't get any sort of rise out of me when she wants to have a serious argument. I don't engage on that level, and most of the time I'm smiling at her because she's cute when she's angry. It usually diffuses the argument pretty quickly. If something unexpected happens in life, usually my reaction is, okay, that happened, so let's see if it can be fixed. It's one of the reasons that it doesn't bother me if other people touch my models. If they break them, I'll just fix them, and if I can't, well, I tried, or I'll replace them. Basically, what I'm trying to say, it takes a lot to make me boil over into outright anger, and this was one of those times. I verbally laid into him, demanding to know what the hell he was doing, and why he thought it was okay as an adult to steal from my friends. I was bored, was all he could say. This only made me angrier. I reminded him that I told him not to drink on the bus, and him being bored, sitting at base camp, was all his own fault. He got too drunk to be trusted with a weapon, even in this non-lethal sport context. I reminded him forcefully that I said he could call home and get a lift back if he needed to, but he decided to stay. And now everybody else, because of the radios, knew what had happened back at camp, and he had not only embarrassed me for being too drunk to participate, but now embarrassed me further by trying to steal something from one or two of them. He stood there, unable to talk back. As I said before, I don't usually get this angry, So he may have been shocked to see me this animated, or just know he was wrong and had nothing else to say to his big brother. I walked away, telling him to leave and to get out of my sight. I went back to the rest of the group and tried to enjoy the rest of my day, everybody asking what had happened when I came back to them. At the end of the next scenario, I cooled off enough to go looking for him, and I found him at the entrance to the site, waiting for my dad to pick him up, tears in his eyes. He knew he'd screwed up, and wouldn't or couldn't speak to me. Eventually my dad came and took him away, while I enjoyed the rest of my day as I could, with all of this hanging over me. Yeah, dude, that wouldn't have been easy. You can't. Jimmy, you just can't enjoy the rest of your day. I've had days like this. You know, when a family member's done something, or like a friend has really done something to really rub you up the wrong way. I've had days like this, dude. It really does cast a pall over the rest of your day. You can't enjoy it. You know, I've even had friends, like, say they're coming to a night out, right, and I've not seen them for ages, and then they cancel on the day. And it just, as much as I want to enjoy it, I just can't, right? So my missus and I actually met fully, like, started to really bond over one of my birthdays, right? Because a few of my friends had let me down for the night out, and I was like, I've got no one to go out with now, so I guess I'm just going to stay in, right? And I was really annoyed, really upset and annoyed. And she got a bunch of her friends that I'd never met before, right? And a bunch of people, even from further afield than that, and told them, oh, it's my friend's birthday, we're taking them out, do you want to come with us? And she got me out. And that's when we started bonding, basically. So, you know, there are silver linings out there to these situations, but it does cast up. That's the only time but that's happened to me where I've gotten over it, where I've been like, okay, you know, let's just have a good time. Do you know what I mean? Anyway. My friends didn't hold anything against me, but I still felt awful that it happened at all. The one person I thought I could behave himself for a day betrayed my trust massively. The worst thing about this entire situation, this is one of the many negative memories that comes to my mind when I remember my brother. He died in 2023 after a freak accident at home hospitalised him and a tooth infection he had been suffering from migrated into his brain. Dude, okay, right. I have to say this. Not to speak ill of a guy who's passed away, but like, if you've had a tooth infection that you've let go for so long that it goes into your brain, you're a mess. You're a mess. Like, do you know how rare that is for that to happen? I know, because I've had a tooth infection, I was told, right? I was told. So I had like alcohol, like not an injection. Well, it was an injection, but I don't know if it was alcohol or whatever. But I had an injection into the area in my mouth, and then mouthwash, and it got rid of it like almost instantly. But they said, yeah, if you'd left that for like 6 months, you'd be in serious trouble. You know what I mean? You'd be in serious trouble. I was like, well, I didn't, because as soon as I was getting pain, I came into the dentist. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what you do as an adult. Again, this guy obviously had issues. You know, he's got Asperger's, things like that. But I still am on the side of there are certain things you can mitigate for with having issues, right? By having like, autism and things like that. But I always say, dude, I know it's one of the pitfalls of my life, but one of the symptoms of my life as a whole is that having worked in the hobby, around hobby stores, and being in the hobby, I know dozens of people who have Asperger's or autism or ADHD, and none of them are assholes. Just saying. Just saying. It doesn't make you irresponsible. It doesn't make you an asshole. That's you, dude. Sorry. Like, I'm sorry. It's not an excuse. That if you have autism, you know, okay, yeah, you have issues, no problem. But like, you being an unpleasant person is on you. It's quite simple. You know, I know dozens of people with Asperger's and autism and ADHD. In fact, I think all of my friends, bar maybe one or two, are solidly on the spectrum. Because most of my friends come from the hobby. And me working in the hobby. And me being around hobby groups. And they're all cool dudes. All of them. Right? All awesome. I would trust them to look after my daughter. That's how much I trust them. Honestly, they're all diamonds. I refuse to believe that Asperger's, ADHD, autism, whatever, makes you a bad person. Or makes you act like a bad person. It doesn't. You have quirks, mate. You have quirks. Is what you do, right? And yeah, certain things could trigger you badly. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But being generally unpleasant isn't a symptom of having one of those things. Up with you, right? Like, one of the symptoms of that is not being an asshole. You're just an asshole. Sorry. Like, do better. Is what all I've got to say on that one. You know, I feel sorry for this guy. Obviously, he might have been left behind. I don't know any ins and outs of this situation, but this guy seems like a bit of a mess to me. Anyway, this was at the same time my wife and I got the news that she could start IVF treatment, which was ultimately successful, and I now have a beautiful, blue-eyed, red-headed baby girl. I do have many happy memories with him, but the only ones I can instantly remember about him are the negative ones, and I hate that that's the impression he's left with me. Like, I hate that I feel like I don't like him because of his drunken mistakes over the years. We used to play co-op Total War campaigns every Friday, and we'd always have a lot of fun, even though he'd progressively get drunk as we played. Now I can't even look at them, because they aren't as fun without him. That's a bittersweet memory, but I always have to think about it to remember it, whereas the negative ones are instantly in my head. I hope that one day I'll forget the negative memories and be left only with the good ones, but that may take a long time. Now, I don't like leaving things on a sour note, so here is a more humorous story about T that you can read out if you feel like it, and I'm not taking up too much of your time. Otherwise, you can leave it here and move on to the next person. Alright, I'm probably going to read this. I'll read this T1 next time, I think. I'll read T1 next time, because I've got another Hobby Nightmare to read out. But I don't think you should take any sort of, how do I put this, responsibility for these memories, dude. I just don't. Like, these are his decisions. And I think you're hinting at points here that you feel kind of responsible, because you were hinting that you not being around sort of made him an alcoholic earlier. That's not the case. That's not true. Right? That's not what happened. He made his choices. I like to, whenever I meet somebody who has autism or Asperger's, I like to empower them and say, your decisions are yours, mate. Asperger's isn't telling you to be an asshole and to be a drunk. Sorry, it's not. Right? You have that choice. That you have agency over your life and your choices. If you give that up, that's on you. That's on you. Right? I know people with severe autism, so are really on the spectrum. So far on the spectrum, they're they're almost falling off of it. Right? And they're nice people. They're good people. You know, they have their quirks, sure. Have they acted out once or twice? Sure. But are they bad people? No. No, these are good people. You know what I mean? So I don't think you should be taking any sort of responsibility for your own memories. Your memories were implanted by your brother acting like an asshole and taking you for granted. That's on him, unfortunately, right? That's on him. And because of him not taking care of himself and letting things go, he will now never get the chance to make that up to you and to change those memories for the better. This is not on you, is what I'm saying. All right, it might. And by the way, let's not even talk shit about your brother. You know, the guy's passed away. That's awful, right? Let's let him rest in peace. Let him rest over there, and you get on with the rest of your life, because this is nothing to do with you. He made his decisions. They painted your memories in a negative way. Acknowledge that happened, and then move on. Acknowledge it, but it's not your cross to bear, dude. Don't you dare. All right. Anyway, moving on. Lithobius is here again. Hello, Lithobius, and she says, "Hey North, hope everything is going well with crazy work time." Yes, it is, and I'm thankfully at the end of it, which is good. Academic schedules really can be overwhelming at specific times of year. Slothobius here again with an ongoing hobby nightmare that began over the holidays. This is unrelated to my previous hobby nightmares or any of the ones I'm slowly picking away at. Sharing what's going on may help some viewers. It doesn't begin like a nightmare, instead it begins a bit like a hobby joy. Over the holidays, I took a serious break from work, No reading, no writing, no coding. Even thinking about my thesis was forbidden. Instead, it was time to make a dent in my pile of shame. For days, we'd get up, head to the couch, put on some Warhammer-related YouTube, and just go at it. My partner Adam would be assembling tiny tanks from Legions Imperialis, and I'd be batch painting as many ratty boys as I could, cat snuggled up between my legs. When I started to get bored, I just switched colours. Every day like this, I probably painted 10 plus hours a day, followed by building, followed by video games. What a great break. By the time I got back to the office, I was in a much better place mentally. After the holidays, I continued this momentum. When I got home, I would do a round of painting, followed by gaming. At some point, I banged my wrist. Or I must have, just not remembered when I hit it since I'm pretty clumsy. Dude, I've done that. There are so many times where I've been walking and I've been like, ow. Why do I have a pain here? And it's a bruise. Like, what the fuck? Where did I get that from? Anyway, sometimes I'll get black and blue marks and not remember how. There we go. So, nothing unusual for me, even though it wasn't swelling or turning black and blue or anything. That week at work, I had a misunderstanding with my boss, who sent me a massive Slack message right before I left on Friday. A lot of the progress I'd made mentally over the holiday disappeared in an instant. I spent the whole weekend sucked into detail, work on rats that were closest to being done, pouring everything I had into getting blood for the blood god, seeping out of the wounds, dark outlines, and pulling out smaller details like rivets and belts. I was so engrossed that I forgot to eat and spent 12 hours a day, for both Saturday and Sunday, spread across several figures. Dude. On Monday, I'm walking in thinking, man, I really did bang my wrist somehow. Maybe when I fell in the snow? I don't know. Even though I fell on my butt and not my wrist. It felt like the very tip of my arm bone, my radius, was bruised and hurt with a dull pain when I just sat there. At my desk, I examined it closer, and there was no swelling, and it wasn't black or blue. And yeah, I know you're not supposed to, but I ended up Googling wrist pain to see if Dr. Google had any ideas. All it knew is that it was not carpal tunnel, because I've felt the start of that before. Totally different area of the wrist and hand. Dr. Google said, based on your symptoms, you definitely should see a real doctor to choose between 3 real options. A broken wrist bone, scaphoid, maybe from falling on slippery snow. The Quervain's tendinosynovitis, French-themed inflamed thumb tendons, and trigger thumb, gun-themed inflamed other thumb tendon. Both repetitive strain injuries from overuse, so I did. Dude, you're painting too much. The doctor gave me a few strange handshakes, and I got blinding, shooting pain in a specific direction that I don't mentally use. That I don't usually move my hand. Okay. North, he told me I gave myself a repetitive strain injury over the holidays. It was the Quervain's. 2 tendons leading back to my thumb are severely inflamed as they rub against the tendons that support my wrist. I used my thumb all day, every day in any activity that I did, never giving it rest and not taking sufficient breaks. He gave me anti-inflammatories, physical therapy, and told me to splint my thumb 24 hours a day with a hand brace for now. But North, it just wasn't any of my happy break activities. This injury isn't just about using your thumb, it's about using your thumb whilst your wrist is rotated in a specific position. I had my first physiotherapy appointment yesterday, and she asked me about all my activities and how I do them. So she asked how I paint my miniatures, and as I moved to return the model's sticky tack to a pill bottle up to my face for detail work, I realised it was the exact position of wrist and thumb use she had just explained as being a bad idea. Yeah. I'm going to show a picture of your hand here. Like, what is this? What are you doing? What have you done to yourself? God damn it, woman. Like, what is this? Ugh, dear me. Dear me. So, I want to say something right now. Okay. The amount of women I know who get into this hobby and they get obsessed. Seriously obsessive. I know certain dudes can do it, but my god, like, maybe it's just because not that many girls are into the hobby, so I see a lot more of them that get obsessed with it. But the numbers seem really disproportionately high. Alright. Okay. Let me just take another sip of tea. Lovely stuff. Right. Now, the hobby nightmare has only just begun, really. With my thumb immobilised, holding a brush, clippers, or scrapers and files is challenging to say the least. Dude, you're still doing it? This is what I mean. Like, just take a couple of weeks off. I know it's terrible. It hurts. You need a couple of weeks off. It's not entirely impossible, but there's a hard cap on what I'm capable of. I can't even move between inputs on my controller fast enough to chill out with video games. My left hand isn't entirely useless, but the last thing I want to do is end up with it overworked as well. So I've got at least a few months of physiotherapy before I can even think of taking the brace off. Oh my god, yeah, that's horrible. So yeah, you can go from totally fine to your hand in a brace from binging miniature painting. For viewers to avoid my fate, number 1, take breaks, no marathon sessions. Number 2, consider how your arms are supported whilst painting and building, because I don't have any elbows on a desk or forearms propped up against anything. The muscles and tendons had to work harder while gripping the brush. And number 3, as soon as you feel really unusual pain in your wrist and can't trace it back to an event, go to the doctor. Lots of guys think they should tough it out or man up with injuries or pain. Some problems only get worse as you delay the healing process. If I'd have waited, I could be facing longer physio and even more nerve damage maybe. Anyway, I included a pic of some of the offending models and my brace. They're not amazing photos. I'll get nice photos with good lighting when they're totally done. These specific models are like 85% done, but still need a bit of OSL and edge highlights to get them over the finish line. My army theme is lab rats, so they're mostly white, and the blue of nitrile gloves. Don't worry, I've developed the lore of my army to justify white furred Skaven and lower clan rat positions. They're literal lab rats of a rogue master moulder. While clan rats are rejected samples, since they aren't good enough to use in future experiments, their job is to be cannon fodder in the fight to secure more warp stone for the big boss. Anyway, hope all is good with you and yours as the days get longer. Don't work too hard, Lithobius. Well, that is a statement. Yeah, I shouldn't work too hard. But dude, I'm taking a break this week. Like, I'm not doing anything education this week. I've taken a week to just say no. I'm doing nothing. I'm just chilling. I'm going to be still doing hobby stuff, of course. I'm going to be doing videos for you guys. But I'm rifling back my workload for a bit, just for 5 days, just to give me some time to recuperate and get myself on an even keel. Which is what you should do. But Lithobius, one thing maybe you should do. I know you've got the lore in your head, but if you want to do something hobby related, right? The lore's in your head, maybe write some lore for your clan rats. That's something you could do. That could take you like a month, maybe 2, to get it right. Do some research, watch some YouTube, get it all right in your head, and then come back to it. Right, when your hand's fine, support your hand and come back to it. That's my suggestion, anyway. Do you guys in the comment section have any suggestions for Lithobius and what she should do with her time off now that it's been enforced upon her? Maybe even give me some suggestions for my time off this week and what's been enforced on me. Let me know in the comment section down below. It is eerie how, you know, your hobby nightmares sort of mirror what's going on in my life sometimes, but hey, there we go. I love you a long time. I'll speak to you tomorrow for some more 40k rantage. I may not be shouting in that video, but I'm definitely going to give it some welly if I can. Anyway, love you a long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you very soon, alright? Have a good one. Bye now.